Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Cameron Smith and I are just solving all the world's problems right here during the break, and now we're going to solve some more problems in the 5 o'clock hour. Hello and a good afternoon to you. If you're just joining us, we so appreciate that. I've got several of you on the phone lines that I'll get to. I promise I will. 6 minutes after the hour. We try to, we carry things over hour to hour. If you miss a moment of the Murphy Show, you miss a lot. We like to say the show starts at 3. And so I apologize if several of you have missed aspects of the show today. You can go back and watch on Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Rumble. Many of you do that in the evening hours. You do that in the overnight hours. You do that in the morning time. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much. Whether you're joining us early in the morning and listening all day to Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis, I know he appreciates it. I do too. There's Chris Hand. There's Chad Benson, who was in a shark outfit today. Chad really likes Halloween. And I do too, but I'm not dressing up. I am dressing up. I dressed up today as a grown-ass man. And there you go. What? Why are you giving me that look, Beaver boy?
I always figured you for an ass man.
There's a Dolly joke in there somewhere. And I don't know. I'll find it. I'll find it after I. Never mind. Anyway, so what was I saying? Oh, yeah, listen all day long and watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Rumble. We appreciate all of you. For those of you just getting off work, lots going on. Obviously, we're talking about the possibility of, food banks are gearing up with the possibility of SNAP ending. I kind of feel like it should be food banks first, then SNAP. So we should depend on charitable organizations, church, and community groups before we depend on the government. But it seems to me that the government kind of takes over the role and responsibility, and then it becomes not an opportunity to save those who are in need, but it becomes an expectation and, dare I say, an entitlement. We've been discussing that. We've also talked about daylight saving time and the fact that it is ending over the weekend, and I don't care what we go to. I just want to stop the switch. The problem is that there are very strong feelings on either side of which way we go. Do we have permanent daylight saving time, or do we go back to a permanent standard time? And we complain about it the week that we make these switches, and then we don't do anything about it. Are you videoing me right now?
No, not you.
You?
Yeah, I'm telling people that I'm here to babysit.
Taking a little selfie there.
Yep.
And did you get your beaver in there?
No, this angry beaver is just on my chest.
Angry orange beaver.
Yep.
What is?
That's what it is.
Oh, that's Duluth.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the beaver's kind of an unofficial mascot. That and the fella, right?
Yeah.
The flannel wearing, jeans wearing, big husky guy.
Yep.
Yeah, Duluth trade. I like Duluth.
I like clothes that just fit me, and they don't have to call them things like husky. You know what I mean?
When I was a kid, we shopped. That was another point in my life. I was telling my grandpa's story earlier about food stamps, or not about reduced lunch at school. Another story was it's when I started work, I was 11, almost 12. It was the summer of my 11th year. I turned 12 that September. And my grandmother, it had been like 3 years in a row, man. We go to Kmart, and Kmart sold Huskies, and I hated them. I hated them with a passion. I mean, this is a burning hatred of 1,000 suns.
Yeah, sure. Got that.
Because A, it was Kmart, and B, they were Huskies, and I felt like they were calling me fat.
Yeah.
And I asked my grandmother if we could not buy me Husky blue jeans. And she said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I want Levi's." They ain't sell Levi's at Kmart. Levi's, they sold that at Belk, the fancy store.
High dollar.
High dollar, fancy blue jeans. And my grandmother went back, and I think unbeknownst to me, she told my grandfather. And the next day, this is like in August, the next day he woke me up at 5:45. Said, "Get your clothes on. We're going to work." I was like, okay. And I went to work with him, and I am certain that for the rest of that summer, I was an absolute pain in his butt because I didn't know what I was doing, and he would tell me to go get a 9/16 wrench, and I would bring back whatever. But at the end of that week, he gave me $10. I was like, whoa, 11 years old, $10.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next week, I went to work with him, and he gave me $10 more. And the second week, he said, "You still have any of that other $10? And I said, "Yes, sir, I've got some of it left." And he said, "Well, if you save up enough, you can buy those Levi's blue jeans that you want." Ooh. And so I did.
And we're learning that now at my house.
Yeah.
My son is a flag football and tackle football referee, okay? And so
oh, my Lord,
my oldest does that, and he gets yelled at by all you guys and in youth sports land. And so now he can be a columnist like me when he grows up.
What the hell are you? You're just a kid.
You're blind. Do you get a degree for this?
How old are you? 16?
I'm 16.
I'm just 16
I can
years
barely
old.
drive here,
Right.
but thank you for yelling at me.
My grown men screaming at a teenager for getting it wrong in flag football.
And that is the resilience I'm trying to build in my offspring.
100%. 100%. I mean, we need a little personal resilience in life. And don't let the haters get you down. It's okay. Opinions are like elbows. Everybody got a couple of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You and I are going to have an opinion, and I know that we're a little bit simpatico, maybe slightly different places, but for the most part in the same place on this issue of Venezuela, and I want to talk about it because we had a discussion about this earlier today on our podcast. All the best words, by the way.
Yep.
Go and like the podcast. Give us the old thumbs up. Watch if you can. 20-minute in and out. Low impact, but I think highly educational in terms of what's going on in the world today. But I want to discuss that after I take a few telephone calls, with your permission.
Let's do it.
It's our time now.
Let's go.
Jerry wants to talk about the shutdown. Hey, Jerry, what's up?
Yeah, I just wanted to have you noticed that whenever the Republicans were in the minority and we shut down the government, it was always, every single news agency, it was always the Republicans' fault. And now you don't hear anything. Have you noticed that?
Well, I've noticed that you hear a lot less. I've made the case, Jerry, that the news organizations like #NeverCNN, MSNBC, and some of the other alphabet soups, that if they could squarely lay the blame on Republicans, they would be covering this a lot more. They're covering it.
They're starting to say that,
But they're starting
how
to
is
admit
this
it.
not your fault, Democrat? I mean, that's
Which
the
is
new
nice.
thing, which is telling you how bad Democrats are underwater on this issue.
Yeah, and they can't even give it almost like they just proved to themselves that they are proud, and they're just carrying the water for the Democrats, and that drives me nuts.
Well, we played it should, Jerry. We played a clip earlier today from Jake Tapper on #NeverCNN, and he was with this Melanie Sandhauser or whatever her name is from out in New Mexico, who started. I mean, she teared up standing near the demolished East Wing. That's where she is on all of this. I'm back in Washington, D.C., and I'm looking, and they've literally torn it to the ground. She said literally about 14 times in a 4-minute video. Well, later on that day, yesterday, she was on with Jake Tapper, and Jake's like, how's this not your fault? No, let's be clear. Let's be perfectly clear. This squarely lies at the feet of Donald Trump. And Jake Tapper, who I don't believe is a Trump fan, who I don't believe is a Republican or a conservative, was like, what? What are you talking about? And she couldn't really explain it.
It's about to go to the point of, you remember when Joe Biden was running for president? Happened a little while ago.
I remember that.
You remember that, and you remember that everybody was like, he's perfectly fine. He's like, everything's wonderful. And then we had that debate, and he melted. And then they were like, we have always maintained that there were some cognitive issues here. And then a lot of the mainstream folks started to come around to.
Well, he had a bad night.
Yeah. And then we realized it's really bad. And then they run. We're getting to they run on this shutdown.
I remember that night well because you and I were together that night at Hop Springs. And you and I had a look, and we had a moment. I feel like we had a moment.
We did have a moment.
Because 5 minutes into that debate, you and I looked at each other, and we were both like, oh, my goodness.
This is over.
This is not this is bad.
Yeah.
And even today, they won't admit that they covered up the cognitive decline of the president.
No, they were misled.
That's right. That's right. The liberal White House misled them. Yet still, they have people like Karine Jean-Pierre on their networks to pump her book out, and they just softball her and
Well, I don't know if you know, but KJP is leaving the Democratic Party because they abandoned Joe. She's leaving.
That's tough. You have to understand what pressure she was put under as the first black and lesbian press secretary in White House history. There was a lot of pressure that went on there. The pressure did not come from the fact that she was obviously covering up for a mentally incapable president of the United States that was a failure. it was because she was black.
And it's a really tough job. So, her predecessor really struggled too and became governor of Arkansas.
Well, I thought you meant.
As you do.
I thought you meant the redheaded one that became some sort of muckety-muck on MSDNC or whatever it is.
Yeah, press secretary for Trump, governor of Arkansas. The other people, something.
Stay
different.
in the media and basically do the same thing that you did as press secretary of Joe Biden. Aaron wants to talk about daylight saving time. Hello, Aaron. How's it going?
Hey, I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Great.
So a couple points, but one, daylight savings time, we should just split it in the middle, change half an hour and leave it.
I've said this for a long time. The problem is so I've said this for a while. So if it's 5 o'clock now, we just make it. So I guess what we would do, let's work through this, is we're coming up on fall back. So what you do is at the time of fall back, at what do we do it at 2 o'clock in the morning? You go back to 1 o'clock in the morning. So at the time of fall back, this time from 2 o'clock, you fall back to 1:30.
Yep.
And then stay there for the rest of all time.
That's it.
I'm in.
Because like when it's all about the sun rising and the sun setting, and that just splits the difference.
I'm all in. I absolutely love the idea. I don't know. Someone has told me before what the problem with that would be. And but I don't see it. I mean, just instead of falling back an hour, fall back in half an hour, and we stay there for the rest of time.
I leave it. Yeah.
And leave it.
My second point, man, I'm an immigrant, and I had the privilege to immigrate here in 2015. And when I did, I had to sign a document that said I would receive no government assistance for 7 years. And, I'm blown away at all these benefits that the illegals are getting because I was here legally. I did all the right paperwork. I was 100%, I could work here. I had a social security number. The only thing I couldn't do was run for office and vote. And they're giving, health care and all of these things to these illegals that myself as a green card holder had no access to. In fact, they had a legal document saying that I wouldn't receive or fill anything out to get them. And that's.
So this is something that I've heard about, but I've never talked to someone who went through it. So you were required to sign documentation saying, hey, I'm not going to receive any assistance of any sort for 7 years?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow. Where did you, if I might get personal, Aaron, where did you immigrate from?
Yeah, no problem. I'm from Canada. I'm from Vancouver. British Columbia. And
I like Vancouver, by the way. Pretty awesome place.
Oh, man. It's my favorite city. I'm partial because I was born and raised there. But, and when I came down, and what's interesting, so when my wife, at the time we had my son, but we had my daughter here in Nashville, and there's a program called WIC where you can get like baby formula and certain specific food items.
I think WIC stands for women with infant children or something along those lines. I think. Yeah,
right. So she got that. She's a stay-at-home mom. She got that, and when that happened, I was like, well, hey, am I permitted? Are we permitted to get it? But because it fell under that, the women and infant children, we were able to utilize that with the birth of my daughter. But that's the only thing that we were able, or that we received. Yeah.
Have you enjoyed being in the States?
Oh man, I'll say this. Last October, I received my citizenship, and it was one of the greatest honors of my life, aside from my children being born.
That's awesome.
That's great.
But yeah, and interestingly enough, my grandmother's maiden name was Clark, and her family moved up to Alberta from the States, and our ancestry is, part of the Lewis and Clark expedition. That's so my grandmother's side came from the U.S. So I have, family history in the U.S. But
this is very compelling to me, Aaron, and it's somewhat for a personal reason, and I'll tell you what it is. Do you listen all day long? Are you able to listen all day long?
I'm kind of in and out, but
okay.
I try to. Yeah.
Do you know our midday host, Chris Hand?
Yeah, I heard he's he's Canadian as well.
Yeah, I'm fascinated because you're from Canada. You came in 2015. I don't hear a discernible Canadian accent, but with Hand, he's all about and hey. I mean, it's ridiculous with Hand.
He's probably from either the central or east. On the west side, on the other side of the Rockies, where our closest city is Seattle, and so. Right. We're more West Coast.
Yeah, Chris is the least West Side guy I've ever met.
100%. Yeah. Well, call him and give him some pointers on how to eliminate that Canadian that accent.
There you go.
All right, Aaron. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. I love hearing that. I love hearing you do it the right way. You sign documentation. I'm not going to get on the dole, and I love hearing from people who aren't people who go through the process the proper way. Are some of the most patriotic Americans I've ever met. Yeah, it's a big deal. Patriotic Americans I've ever met. Yeah. And, Hand, I don't know what Hand's process was, but I love furthering the idea that he's from Canada.
I hope he doesn't get denaturalized. You got to watch out. That's a new thing.
It is a new. Well, if it can happen to old Mom Dami up in New York City, it can happen to you, Hand. Got to watch out for that. 23 after the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Yeah, speaking of government layoffs, what about that Amazon? 14,000 for now, and eventually the expectation is it will rise to 30,000 total layoffs at Amazon. And they say that they are not, eliminating job positions. They are moving those jobs to artificial intelligence, which is scary. I think that's pretty scary. Our guest is Cameron Smith. He's with the Tennessee, and he writes for those guys over there. He talks to us on a weekly basis. We're going to talk about Venezuela in just a moment. Just to set this up, when we saw that the United States military had engaged in targeted strikes against individuals that are believed to be involved in the narco trade,
yes,
in the drug trade, and they were designated as narco-terrorists, which is the justification behind striking these individuals. I didn't think much of it, Cameron. I didn't. I was like, okay, well, I mean, you FAFO.
Yep.
Right? And when we struck the second boat, I was like, yeah, I get it. That's a continuation of what we're trying to do. We're trying to send a message that they need to stop trafficking drugs into the United States of America. But this seems to be escalating in a way that, and I know this will look, all I can tell you is, it's escalating in a way that I'm uncomfortable with. What about you?
I'm very uncomfortable. I mean, when I say that, I just think it's unconstitutional. But the problem is, I don't think the people who have standing to sue, they're at the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico. And, maybe their families could sue, but...
Yeah, but sue if they're international.
But you
sue where?
Yeah, but you would have to literally sue in a court in the United States. Right? You can now. There's some international conventions and something, but U.S. doesn't really have to deal with that.
Right? Like, just oh my gosh, we're being sued.
Yeah, we don't care. And what's more interesting here is Congress, other than Thomas Massey and a handful of folks, and Rand Paul, who are correct in my opinion.
I think they're correct in mine too. This is acting extracurricular to the Constitution of the United States.
They're saying, hey, you guys. What is this? We need to hold the executive branch accountable for this because this is wrong. And the bigger issue I have here is Donald Trump is not dropping out of a plane and killing these people. Our military is. Mm-hmm. And so there are people in the military who are they're in a situation where they're being asked to kill people, but there is no wartime powers don't cover this. And it probably falls in law enforcement and due process. The Fifth Amendment still applies here, folks.
So Darren writes in, and Darren represents what I believe to be the reaction that most of our audience will have. Darren says, unconstitutional, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. If they're terrorists bringing drugs that are killing us, we have every right constitutionally to take their asses out. Tell me where it says that in the Constitution.
Yeah, we don't.
Darren, we're going to go to a break. I want you to call me up. I'm willing to listen to your point, but tell me how that is constitutional. Tell me where that is. I'd love to hear that. It's 32 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, we're going to get back into this discussion in just a moment or two after Nincompoops in the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I would hope that you and I and Cameron and the rest of the listening audience could have a discussion about this without everybody getting so mad because a lot of people are getting very angry already at the suggestion that at some point, I'm not even saying that that point has been reached just yet, but at some point, the president doesn't necessarily have the authority to allow the military to strike internationally without some level of check or balance against that authority. The same authority that gives the president of the United States an ability to strike a boat off the coast of Venezuela, would that president not also have the authority just to bomb Venezuela or bomb Colombia?
So, interestingly, the president in bombing Colombia could basically do so.
And say it's a real and present threat,
Yeah,
yada, yada.
whatever his rationale is. We give a lot of latitude to the president, but the War Powers Act of 1973, I'm writing a column about this, is why I know this stuff. I'm not just a nerd. Well, I am, but you get the idea. Basically says, if you do so without congressional authorization, because Congress is the only body that can authorize war, then you've got essentially 60 days because 30 days of the 90 have to be in withdrawal. But you can do it for basically 3 months or 2 months, and then you got to leave. And the president can just do that. And same with Iran, for example. He's saying that this is a real threat. I need the ability to respond to the threat. I'm going to bomb. He bombed Iran.
Yeah, sure.
To be real clear.
Yeah.
But we didn't go to war because, well, we didn't declare it. It was, and that's really the long and short of it. Where it gets a little trickier is he bombs Iran. That's a single event, sovereign country, and then there's nothing in the country, so he's out, right?
And I would note, because I know where you're going, you didn't hear a word from me, first boat, second boat, but this has become a pattern.
Yes. Yeah.
And if that's the America we want, y'all just tell me that you want the America that just indiscriminately bombs boats in waters, and we declare that we have information that these are narco-terrorists. And
well,
is that where we're at?
I know process isn't sexy, and I see you guys on the chat line, and I understand what's at stake here. The bottom line is, I could accuse any of y'all and say y'all are drug dealers. Well, and you say, obviously I'm not. I'm a U.S. citizen, and I'm like, okay, but how would we know that if I just shot you? Like, well, we wouldn't, right? Like that's not how that works, and that's why I can't do that. And that's why the police can't do that either.
Well, let me give you another example. Should we, and I genuinely want to ask, someone like 6670 says, angry because I personally have a brother, a sister, a brother, his children, a niece, her children, all lives ruined by drug addiction.
Sure.
Niece is in jail now. Do not take the side of drug dealers. All right, first off, don't piss me off. And I don't understand why you have to be the enemy of the discussion. Who's taking the side of a drug dealer, bud? Nobody. So don't just stop it with that nonsense. Number two, I would ask you, 6670, would you be okay with the United States of America shooting people across the southern border? Just authorizing our border patrol that if you see individuals coming to the southern border with packs on their backs, you are to assume that they're drug dealers and you are to shoot and kill them dead. Is that okay with you? Is that the country you want to live in? And no, I'm not taking the side of drug dealers, 6670. And if you think so, I don't know what to tell you.
Well,
you've got to use your ears as well as your fingers to type.
And I know that, I'm a fly in the ointment on this stuff, but I also don't want trust me government. Like, I'm a conservative. And so at the end of the day, I want free people to be free, to have civil liberties, to have the government as limited. What's happening right now is we're seeing social media posts of people getting blown up and the government saying, trust us, these are narco terrorists. Nobody listening to the sound of my voice, to the best of my knowledge, has anything other than that to go on.
Right.
Which, if you're saying,
that's fine.
I trust Trump, so that's great. Okay, cool. But what if it's somebody you don't? What if there's somebody sitting there with the bomb button?
Yeah, I mean, if this were Barack Obama blowing boats out of the water, would we feel the same way?
I would, yeah. Because it's the same process.
I would too. I would attempt to give the president of the United States, through his powers, commander in chief, the benefit of the doubt that there's a real and present military need and there's a real and present danger. But that real and present danger has to be immediate in its threat nature, in its threat level, in order for me to grant the president that unilateral authority. Is the president of the United States that declared these individuals narco-terrorists that gives him the authorization to kill them as narco-terrorists?
Yeah, and I look, and this is going to be, while we're being unpopular, let's be more unpopular. I look at drugs like I look at guns. Our argument with guns is guns don't kill people, people kill people. My argument with drugs is the drugs will just sit there unless you consume them.
Right.
And so there's a component here of personal responsibility, which is why I think this is a law enforcement function rather than a clear and immediate threat. Because let's just say I had a pound of cocaine.
Can we kill drug dealers in the United States?
No.
Why not? They're drug dealers. They're terrorists. They kill people.
No.
Why can't we do that? Because it's in the United States? So the distinction is that this is in international waters.
The distinction, well, even I think that the Fifth Amendment still applies. And so I still think it's unconstitutional, even if it's in international waters. The problem here is that in the United States, if we did that, people here could file suit, they have standing, and that would happen.
If you really want to get the people upset, skip Nincompoops in the news on Super Talk 99.7 WGN. That would upset the general population. It is time to turn our attention away from this and toward Nincompoops. Y'all can yell and scream at us in just a moment after we engage in Nincompoops in the news. Was it legal for Barack Obama to kill Osama bin Laden? Yes, it was. Yes, it certainly was.
And there was an authorization of military force.
Well, I was about to say there was a congressional authorization of military force there, so the example doesn't actually work. It is time for Nincompoops in the news, where Ken Weaver from back in News Closet B, Jackson Williams from Beyond the Glass, Cameron Smith on these Wednesdays, and Matt Murphy, we each present a Nincompoop to you, and you get to vote on which is your favorite Nincompoop. Ken Weaver, I'm pleased to note something.
What's that?
You won yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, really. You did.
I don't even remember the
Congratulations,
story
Ken.
that
Well,
I had.
I don't either, but I remember you won because I counted them up, because Jackson cheats. And so I've taken upon myself to count them up every day to make sure that Jackson's not cheating on us.
Yeah.
And I would love to say that I won, Ken, but I try to be as honest as I can, and I did not. You did.
Well, thank you, sir.
Congratulations, Brother Weaver.
Ken Weaver's going to get a win this week.
Oh, you got a victory. This is boding well for Saturday evening. Ken Weaver, who is your Nincompoop? What is your Nincompoop? Let's go.
Man accused of being naked, chasing shoppers around inside a Walmart in Northern Virginia. A man was arrested after police say he stripped naked and started chasing customers inside a Walmart in Northern Virginia Tuesday morning. According to the Prince William County Police Department, officers were called to the store in the 17,000 block of Richmond Highway in Dumfries. It was just before 9 a.m. for reports of indecent exposure. Investigators said the man, later identified as 20-year-old Lance Irving Lassane Jr., was completely undressed and running after shoppers when police showed up. Authorities believe Lassane was under the influence at the time of the incident. No injuries were reported. Lassane, who is from Dumfries, faces charges of indecent exposure, disorderly conduct, and public intoxication. His court date is pending.
You know, your story for some reason made me think of what Broadway is going to be like this weekend. Can you imagine being down on Lower Broad this Friday night?
What's going on?
Halloween.
Oh, Halloween, yes.
Holy moly. You want to talk about drunk, naked people. They're going to be down there in droves. My story comes from Columbus, Ohio. Ohio lawmakers want to make sure no one walks down the aisle with a robot. House Bill 469 would declare that artificial intelligence systems cannot be considered the same as people, meaning that they cannot specifically marry, own property, or act as someone's legal proxy. The measure sounds absurd, but it's aimed at heading off real legal and ethical problems created by rapidly advancing AI, specifically the idea of someone wanting to marry artificial intelligence. According to Representative Thad Claggett, a Newark Republican and the bill's sole sponsor, we're talking about Optimus Prime walking down the aisle to Here Comes the Bride. There's a legal loophole in this system, and we can't get embedded into this. He said the bill would stop AI from taking on roles traditionally held by human beings, such as the role of a spouse in marriage, to include making medical decisions or having power of attorney. So you cannot marry AI in the state of Ohio if House Bill 469 is passed. I declare Representative Thad Claggett is a nincompoop.
I'm glad that we're solving problems that don't exist.
Apparently, they got it going on in Ohio.
That's called the legislature.
Yeah, they got it going on, baby. Apparently, raccoons are already legal to own in Ohio. Otherwise, they'd be solving that issue. Cameron, you want to go?
Yeah, the only one that I've got, you're probably done, so I always check it first now.
We're saving the best for last, Jackson. Calm down.
The Florida man with the thermos.
Up his behind?
That one.
Okay, yeah, he's got it. All right, that's Cameron's. I think, you know what? It might get votes. I mean, Florida man.
with that one.
Florida man, thermos up the butt. Was it cold? Was it hot? We don't know.
Thermos up the butt.
Yeah, that's what.
All right.
That's what that's all about.
We're already late, so let's all move quickly. Palo Alto home burglary victim finds suspect drinking glass of wine at his kitchen table. A Palo Alto resident returned home over the weekend to find a burglar sitting at his kitchen table, indulging in a glass of wine. The incident happened at about noon on Sunday at a home on Bryant Street, south of Oregon Avenue in the city's Midtown neighborhood. The Palo Alto Police Department said in a press release that the resident, a man in his 70s, left his home in the morning, and when he returned home, he found an intruder sitting in the kitchen and drinking his wine. The man told the suspect to leave, and after the suspect left, the resident called police to report the incident. The resident also reported that his house had been rummaged through. Officers arrived and searched the neighborhood, finding and detaining the suspect without incident. The suspect was identified as 31-year-old Sabina Blanco of San Francisco, who was booked into the Santa Clara County Main Jail for felony residential burglary, misdemeanor possession of drug paraphernalia, and misdemeanor battery on a police officer for allegedly spitting on the arresting officer.
Oh, goodness.
Look at this guy's mugshot, Ken.
Yeah,
he looks innocent.
Yeah,
My favorite part of this story is that he rummaged through the guy's house.
Yeah.
He's sitting in the guy's, kitchen?
Yeah.
Drinking his wine, and the dude says, hey, you need to get out of here. And the guy goes, all right, well, okay.
Can I finish my wine first?
Is it okay if I take my wine?
Was his pinky out?
I wonder what kind of wine it was.
Normally in Nincompoops in the news, it's something else out, Ken.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Facts.
true.
Mm-hmm. Or something that's covered up, like a thermos.
Ugh.
My goodness.
That's aggressive, man.
You always put the larger end in first, I'm told. Because it's got to come back out.
Good thing there wasn't a little handle on that cup.
A little pinky end. That's how we play Nincompoops in the news. You can vote Weaver, you can vote Cameron, you can vote Jackson, you can vote Murphy. It is 53 after the hour. We'll continue talking Venezuela and ticking off a lot of people on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.